Hello everybody, it is Emery48 here, and today's video is another tier list Tuesday, and today's tier list is going to be on NHL teams. Now, I'll start it off nice and easy for myself. I just recently went to a Boston Bruins game at TD Garden, and they are my favorite team, so they will go up into here. So, S tier is, I'll rename them, favorite team. I feel like it's easier to just put the favorite one up there because it gets kind of mentioned anyway throughout in regards to the other teams. Alright, there we go. We got them named. Self-explanatory names, so I don't really need to go over them, but other than the Bruins, which are my favorite team, we'll go in order. So we have the Anaheim Ducks, which I can't touch, so I'll have to wait a second. We have the Anaheim Ducks. Honestly, don't mind them. There's going to be some Western Conference teams that I don't really have much of an opinion on in general. So they'll go into don't mind. Oh, the Coyotes went to least favorite. I did not want them there. I want them in second favorite. The Arizona teams normally find a place in my second favorites tier because that's one of the places I've gone on vacation to, and I just enjoy teams from places I've gone to. This one is really laggy for me today, so there might be a lot of cuts. All right, the Buffalo Sabres, they go into don't like. Purely New York teams never really get positive reviews from a Boston fan. Calgary Flames, I don't mind them. One of the Canadian teams, I don't really have an issue with them, so they get into the don't mind category. Carolina Hurricanes, they also fall into the don't mind. I feel like they've just been bad for most of the time I've been a hockey fan, so they've never really been an issue. Not that the Coyotes have been good while I've been a hockey fan. The Chicago Blackhawks fall into a second favorite as well. For me, Chicago teams, some of them tend to be in my second favorites, but then others are in like my don't like. It's a really weird mix. And Colorado Avalanche, again, another team that I don't mind. It was kind of fun to see them go on a run a couple years ago, I believe. But other than that, they haven't been the best of teams, so they haven't bothered me. Columbus Blue Jackets, they'll get a don't mind as well. Again, very inoffensive for a Bruins fan. Not a big rivalry there, so they get stuck into a don't mind. The Dallas Stars, they get a don't like. Dallas teams just, they're kind of annoying sometimes, so I normally put them in a don't like category. The Detroit Red Wings will go into don't mind, but a high don't mind. Which I feel like is weird for me as a Bruins fan to say that. But I feel like I've enjoyed some of the players that they've had on their teams in the past, so they stay in that category. The Edmonton Oilers, it's another inoffensive, I believe they're a Western Conference Canadian team. Those teams normally don't bother me that badly. The Florida Panthers also go and don't mind. I believe this year they're actually doing very well, but in years past they have not been the best, so they have not really challenged the Bruins too much, although that may go down in a year or two if they stayed good. The LA Kings, dislike. It's an LA team. I feel like the two rivalries for Boston is Boston and New York and Boston and LA, so teams from both those cities tend to be finding themselves on the bottom. The Minnesota Wild, I don't mind them. They're another team that had a fun run recently, but other than that have not been the best. So those kind of teams always end up in don't mind. Montreal Canadiens, definitely least favorite. Should not be a shock for any hockey fans to see a Bruins at the top and then also Canadians at the bottom. And if the Canadians were at the top, I would expect Bruins at the bottom. It's kind of just a given. The Nashville Predators, they go and don't mind. It's a big Western Conference feel in here because a lot of Western Conference teams don't really have anything to do with the Bruins' playoff success until the Stanley Cup Finals, which assumes that the Bruins make it to the Stanley Cup Finals more often than they have. So those teams can get stuck into don't mind. The New Jersey Devils, they're in a high don't mind. They've gone up for me recently, but they've just been really bad. They're a team that I wanted to root for as like a secondary team and tried, and they were just bad, so I gave up. New York Islanders, they get a least favorite because they're a New York team, and I don't like either of the New York teams, which the Rangers are right behind them, so we might as well get them stuck in there. The Ottawa Senators can go and don't mind as well, and I actually just recently went to a Bruins game, and it was against the Ottawa Senators, so I'll chuck a picture of that in right now. All right, here's a view from the seats. Loge, section 13, row 6. Great seats. 3-2 win over the Ottawa Senators. A little sloppy, but luckily Bruins were playing against the Senators, so it worked out pretty well. Philadelphia Flyers are in a second favorite, which is probably very weird for a Bruins fan, as there's some sort of rivalry in there. But it's another one of those things where I enjoy teams from Philadelphia, although the Eagles was never fond of the Eagles or the 76ers. But the Flyers and the Phillies are the two Philly teams that I stick with and root for as second favorites. Pittsburgh Penguins, another team that's going to find themselves on the bottom. Never really liked Sidney Crosby, so he gets to sit on the bottom. San Jose Sharks, they get in least favorite, and this is nothing to do with the actual San Jose Sharks team. It's purely because of NHL, and we used to play when I was in school, and the person that played with the Sharks played in a very annoying fashion, so they get a dislike for me. St. Louis Blues, they're my second favorite. Again, not because of the actual team, but because that was the team that I drew to play with in our tournaments. So they get up there. Tampa Bay Lightning, one of my least favorites. An Eastern Conference rival challenger not really rival, but an Eastern Conference challenge as of late for the Bruins. So they get in a least favorite. The Toronto Maple Leafs, an original 6, along with Canadians, Rangers, Maple Leafs, Blackhawks, Bruins, Flyers? Yeah, that's the original 6, I believe. Original 6, Eastern Conference, a lot of bad blood between the Maple Leafs and the Bruins in some years. So they get in a least favorite as well. The Vancouver Canucks, again, another Western Conference Canadian team. None of them really bother me, which is why they're all in here, including the Winnipeg Jets. They just all get stuck in the don't mind category. Las Vegas Golden Knights, they can sit and don't mind. I don't know, one of the new, okay. That was awesome. It just reset everything, and I love that. Alright, well, it just reset on me for whatever reason, so I think we're back to where we were. Some of the things might be in a slightly different order, but they're back in the correct category at least. So, Vegas Golden Knights, they go into don't mind. A new team, along with the Kraken, which didn't make it into this tier list, but this was a pre-made thing on the website. So The Kraken would honestly end up in don't mind at this point as well. I haven't watched any of their games, so it's not going to get me into a second favorite at this point, but it's always nice to see a new team in a league perform well, which the Golden Knights did, so good for them, but I don't really mind them. And finally, the Washington Capitals, they get stuck in least favorite. Another player, Alexander Ovechkin, who I never really enjoyed. Similar to baseball for me with like Joey Votto versus Albert Pujols. Crosby versus Ovechkin is like, you got to be a fan of one. Well, I was a fan of neither, so they both end up in my least favorite. This is my NHL teams tier list. Let me know where you agree or where you disagree down below. And let me know what tier lists you want me to do in the future. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your day.